So, Warner Brothers Discovery, are they binning off DEI amid Donald Trump's ban on DEI? My answer is no.
Yeah,
I
probably
don't
not.
at all, because of how they've worded things in this. And you know what? I don't understand why, because David Zaslav is, he's a Trumper. He's a Republican, isn't he? I don't understand why he's still doing this. You've got the perfect storm. You've got Trump banning it, making it illegal. You got other companies dropping it off as well. And then David Zaslav is actually like a pro-Trumper, but he's still not done it. He's still drinking the Kool-Aid. I don't get it. I don't understand. But basically what it is, Warner Brothers Discovery renames DEI Group to refer only to inclusion. So it's still corporate sanctioned, like bigotry. There's no two ways about it. It's still corporate sanctioned bigotry. And they say this. So Warner Brothers Discovery, amid a war on diversity, equity, and inclusion programs by the Trump administration, a war that is well worth it, by the way, more than justified morally and ethically, is jettisoning the diversity and equity parts of its DEI initiatives. Okay, all right, cool, maybe. Going forward, Warner Brothers Discovery's, quote, overarching work in this space will be referred to as inclusion. So they're literally saying it there. We're still going to work in the space, but we're just going to call it inclusion instead. Amazing. What the fuck are you doing? And that was according to a memo sent to staffers Thursday. The message, obtained by Variety, was sent to all global employees from head of HR Jennifer Remling and Asif Sadiq, who is now Chief Inclusion Officer. Formerly, Sadiq's title was Chief Global Diversity, Equity and Inclusion Officer. So he's still the same person doing the same bloody job, just with a different fucking name.
It doesn't matter.
The company, the two executives said, is making the change to ensure, quote, we continue to comply with the evolving legal landscape in the United States and around the world. The memo was distributed Thursday when Warner Brothers Discovery also reported fourth quarter 2024 results. There's a little bit more here, and you'll see why I think it's super dumb. So Warner Brothers Discovery update comes after DEI changes at other media companies, including Paramount Global, Disney, Amazon Studios. President Trump, on a second day in office, ordered federal agencies to terminate DEI initiatives and instructed the heads of U.S. agencies to scrutinize the practices of policies and policies of private companies and find ways to deter DEI programs or principles, which is, again, more than justified. So say this, look, Warner Brothers Discovery's Remling and Sadiq said renaming the DEI group, better aligns with our language, with our focus throughout our company, in our industry, and across our content. We're updating the language we use to ensure the intent and impact of our actions are clear. You will see this new approach being updated on WarnerBrothersDiscovery.com, as well as our internal channels. That's still bigotry. And say this. Along with the name change, Warner Brothers Discovery will now have a uniform and consistent application process across our talent programs. Good, that's fine. You should have had that anyway. So that's that's an admission of, absolute scummery, but okay. So they're going to have, including internships, mentoring, other development programs. According to the memo, all of our programs will be open and welcoming to all applicants, with the goal of cultivating an inclusive home for world-class talent. Well, one should have been open to everyone anyway. The thing about all this is, right, and they say this just real quick, continue to gather internal data that allows us to understand how our employee base reflects the audience we serve. So they're still going to do DEI. That's what they're saying here. And they still got a commitment to growing an inclusive team. One of the ways we do this is through our best-in-class recruiting and training programs, which provide essential skills, training, education, and job opportunities to build career pathways into the entertainment industry for people of all backgrounds, which means people of certain backgrounds, because otherwise you just do meritocracy. The thing that fucks me off about DEI, right? If a company was obeying the law and not being discriminatory, it would be inclusive, right? The only way you are exclusive, the only way you are not being inclusive is that you're breaking the law, i.e. hiring people very, very specifically based on certain things. So at the end of the day, Warner Brothers Discovery should just be inclusive by following the normal law anyway that's there. Now, this DEI nonsense. It's just such a complete waste of everyone's time. It's just corporate sanctioned racism, corporate sanctioned sexism. It's just corporate sanctioned bigotry. It's got to stop. It's absolutely got to stop. It's just pathetic. Get back to meritocracy. And what is David Zaslav doing, mate? What is he doing? Why is he going along with this dog shit?
I am convinced that decades ago, an evil sorcerer placed a curse on the CEO of Warner Brothers to basically make it so that no matter who sits in that chair, they constantly make the worst possible decision in every single situation, because no matter who runs that company, it is just stupid decision after stupid decision after stupid decision. And even Zaslav, who, as you said, is not one for all this stuff. I mean, but they're still doing it because I don't know. It's someone is pulling the strings behind, maybe, or they think that fully abandoning this will somehow make them lose clout with the progressives, which I honestly don't think is a terrible thing because they're the minority. It's ridiculous. And you're right. This is not them getting rid of DEI. This is just them renaming, just like what Disney did. They're just renaming it and continuing to do it behind the scenes.
So bizarre.
They can't do it out in the open anymore, because then, when you need to do something like when Discovery, decides they want to sell off Warner Brothers because it's the lemon that it is, they'll have a problem if they have DEI programs involved. Paramount's finding that out the hard way right now. They're trying to do that merger with Skydance, and they just eliminated their DEI stuff as well because they were running into an issue with the FCC, who was just like, oh, well, you got those DEI programs, huh? It's people are like, that's why like people try to make the argument of like, oh no, this has nothing to do with Trump, like they don't have to adhere to these federal mandates. I'm like, no, yes they do, because if they don't, then the FCC can make their lives very, very difficult. And this administration's FCC has made no bones about the fact that it takes this into account when making decisions.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's so bizarre. This whole thing's weird. Go on, Nick. What do you reckon about all this nonsense? Oh, is Nick dead? Go on.
I think Nick's BRB.
Yeah, no, look, it's pretty easy. I figure this. This is a very, very bad look for Warner Brothers Discovery, because this is the same thing Paramount did, trying to pull the rug over something by renaming it or eliminating things they think are offensive. Inclusion is still a racist scheme. So I think this is going to be a problem. Like you said, I said this in the video I released about Paramount this morning. It's the same kind of thing. You're not really getting rid of this. You're rebranding it, and that's going to be pretty obvious to people like us and also the government. So right now, Paramount needs to conform in order to get their sale done. Warner Brothers is going to need to conform, because I see the breakup of Warner Brothers Discovery happening in the next year or so. So if they're not in line with what the expectations are, they're not going to get the ability to do a lot of things, and they're also going to bring a lot of scrutiny. If you think that the action against Comcast is going to be isolated, you are not paying attention. And so, yeah, I find this rather odd. And while not a Republican, I would say that Zaslav is aligned with Trump. Trump is not a Republican. He's a Democrat that just decided that the Democrats left him behind and had some very bad ideas for a very long time. So I have a feeling that this is going to bite them in the butt. And I think your reaction is spot on, Nate. I think that this is something that is just such a mess that you're going to see the administration digging into it, and you're going to see this where if they get any whiff of anybody violating any of the actual laws that we have on the books, which there are plenty, they're going to go after them, sniffing around for unpleasant aromas. Any whistleblower who has evidence that they're still maintaining this is, if they come forward, you're going to see the government come down so hard. It's not even going to be funny. Right now, I think they're going to focus a little bit more on the Epstein list. So there's that. So, but that's what I think.
Yeah, it's so bizarre. This whole thing's just weird, man. So weird. What a weird situation. Bizarre. But never mind. I mean, there you go. There's not much else to say, is there, really? Warner Brothers Discovery, Zanslav, what you doing, dipshit? You should just be spinning all this off.
Well, it's an opportunity, right? This is a legitimate opportunity to get a get out of jail free card with this.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So
why would you not do that?
I would do it. Right now, if I were Comcast, I'd be like, hey, you know what? Sounds good. We're going to pull the plug on all of this, and you watch what happens to our stock. And if anything changes because of something that Vanguard, BlackRock, or State Street does, you're going to have to go after them. And I don't know why they haven't already, to be fair. The federal government should right now be punishing the people that have forced this on us. I mean, we've been worked against here in this country and around the globe by U.S. tax dollars from the U.S. taxpayers for the better part of almost 2 decades now. Because all this bologna sausage started in 2008, if you track it all down. So,
that's so weird.
Yeah,
so weird. All right, well there you go. We'll move on from this now. We've got some super chats here.